You're acting like this individual guy who's trying to save the whole planet, but by himself.
Yeah.
But what I want you to consider, which is such a leap for you, is that your life is curated, orchestrated precisely for what you need, so you can just lighten up and relax. You can't fuck it up. Homework is don't do anything.
Yeah.
In 2010, I unfortunately saw one of my close friends jump off a cliff in front of me to end his life. For a while, I blamed myself, just thinking if I could have stopped that from happening. But the big problem that is happening in my life is finances. You know, I'm really struggling to get into that abundant state and really increase the wealth in my life.
I've been watching so much of your stuff, so I understand as well that that's the surface level, but of course, and I know that's available to me when some of the other stuff, maybe blind spots or whatever, is cleared up, but that is the area that I would like some assistance with for sure.
What would you say is one of your blind spots or one of your barriers to what you're calling abundance?
Yeah, so I've got this insane like internal like desire to change, to improve my life. And I have in many regards, but I feel like I'm pushing one foot on the accelerator and one foot on the brake. Yeah. And I procrastinate a lot. I avoid things a lot, and I go through cycles of intense motivation and doing work. For example, with business and content, I might make videos every day for 3 months, and then I'll just completely disconnect and I don't want to do anything. I kind of go through these cycles of a lot of energy, and then I just want to just chill out and like watch football or, you know, and then it kind of comes around again. And I just feel like I keep repeating these cycles. You know, there's only so many courses and books and different things you can take on marketing and practical stuff. There comes a time where like, I need to look at myself, like maybe there's a different problem here. So, and I definitely, you know, I've got just stuff from childhood, and, you know, seeing one of my close friends commit suicide definitely was a turning point in my life. So
yeah, I remember that from your video. I'm sorry you went through that. Okay, well, there's no lack of intelligence here, right? So you're not struggling there, and it's sort of making that connection between conscious awareness and physical embodiment. So what would you say from your past that you're aware of? Obviously, we can talk about your friend who took his life at some point, but let's go back further. What were some of the patterns, habits that you developed? Do you think from, you know, being young and whatever you saw growing up, or what have you heard as well?
Yeah, so when I was a kid, I'm the middle one. I've got 2 brothers, and I mean, I admit I was a big mummy's boy when I was a kid. I was very attached to my mum, and you know, I even remember my first day in school. I can have the image of my mind of looking out the window when my mum took me to school, and I'm just bawling my eyes out. And there was this really strong attachment to my mom. And my dad was very absent. He spent a lot of the time in the pub. And I remember him coming home late. We would be sat down on the TV watching, sat down on the sofa watching TV together as a family. And I'd always have that kind of fear or uncertainty of how my dad was going to be when he came in, or how much he'd had to drink. There was never any like physical violence or anything like that, but I remember feeling that uncertainty. And I really didn't like that feeling. So those are some of the main things I can think of. I haven't seen or spoken to my dad in probably 15 years. But I don't, at least like, I don't feel anything towards that. Like I wish him well now, and I don't have any regrets about my childhood, but maybe there's some subconscious stuff there. But one thing I would say is, I said to my friend when he passed, not to my friend, but I said to myself, I'm going to make the most of my life and live your life as well. And because I was there when it happened, and I felt like, you know, I couldn't stop this. And at the same time for my mom as well, I've had this desire, like I really want to make enough money so that I can basically give my mom an amazing retirement. She's in her 70s now. And I just feel like maybe it's just too much pressure on myself, you know, too much weight to carry, and then my own dreams as well. So I think that's like an overview.
Are you in a relationship now, romantic relationship?
Yes, I am. Just 3 years. 3 years, yeah, and it's been the best and healthiest relationship I've had. So I'm really grateful for that. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. So with your friend, was this back home in Cornwall when you're on the cliff somewhere?
Correct. Yeah.
And this was
So
a friend from growing up, from school, from both?
yeah, so we met a bit later on. So he was a few years younger than me, and we were kind of college, university time. You know, back then I was just a youngster in England, having fun on the weekends, drinking a lot, partying. Had no idea what I wanted to do in my life.
Yeah.
Probably not really happy, to be honest, but just going along as most youngsters do, trying to find their way in the world.
Yeah. How
And
old were you at the time?
so I was 22. So it
When
was
the time, okay.
2010, I think it was now. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I'm from a really beautiful place in Cornwall, like in a fishing village. There's beautiful cliff tops, fields, ocean,
Yeah.
and they had this party there. It was like an event in a marquee, and I was walking along with a friend, and I saw my friend. His name is Matt. He was sort of fighting some guy. He was on his back, and I was a little bit drunk, so I kind of found it. At first, I thought it was kind of comical,
Amusing.
but then he basically got kicked out by the security, and I could see he was upset. And I think he'd recently broken up with his girlfriend. I knew he wasn't like in the best headspace,
Yeah.
but I didn't really know much more than that. And then my instinct was I've got to go out after him to make sure he's okay. And there was another guy that did as well. And then he turned around and saw us, and then he started running. So I started running, bearing in mind, I'd had a few ciders or something. And he was, pretty determined. He went through some brambled bushes, got to the edge of a cliff, and I'm kind of stumbling over. I'm trying to be careful that I don't want to fall off myself. And he just tells us, like, don't come any closer. And my memory
was the other guy there too, or was it just you?
Yeah, he was slightly over the shoulder.
Yeah.
So he must have seen a similar thing. Yeah. We were back and forth a little bit, and he was, bawling his eyes out, and I was telling him, it's okay, like, come down, everything's going to be all right. Let's talk. I can't remember the exact conversation at the time, to be honest. And my headspace at that time, like, I had no idea what was going to happen. I really didn't think that was a possibility.
No.
And he just basically shared his last message of me and said, Paul, I love you. It's not your fault. Tell my friends and family it's not their fault. I can't go on anymore. And then it was like it's so hard to describe. I just looked into the air, and he wasn't there. And it's like time froze, and I just felt like, is this real? It was almost like a movie. It's really hard to explain.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I know, I'm on my phone, calling 999, and he did survive the fall, but no expectancy of life. You severe head injuries, and they basically waited the next day for his dad to arrive from up north somewhere in England, and then they turned off the life support. And that was a really challenging thing to experience.
No, I'm sorry you had to see that and witness that. And I can, as best as possible, be there with you, obviously not actually literally, but energetically, and what that must have felt like, especially for someone as sensitive as you. And I'm sorry that you had to go through that. Did you have any support after that? Did you speak to a therapist? Did you get together with the other friend there with you and talk it through?
I mean, I had lots of friends, and firstly, thank you. I appreciate that. And I acknowledge you for listening, and thank you for listening to me. I had friends around me, and, we had a big friend group, which was good. And some of the positives, if you can take positives from that, were that it brought a lot of people together.
Yeah.
But with regards to therapy, I didn't. A lot of people said to me at the time, you should probably go and speak to someone. And I remember thinking at the time, this must be my way of, I said to myself, I must just be really, like, strong in my mind or something.
Yeah.
And clearly I must have been just probably suppressing a lot of it. But there was an ongoing thing for a while. We had to go to court a few years later, and just, eventually they didn't put it down to suicide. He did jump, but because he was under the influence, and then, they think that maybe he might not have made that decision. But anyway, I didn't speak to anyone. And so I think that's been at the back of my mind a little bit, just with where I'm at now, like, just more out of curiosity, wondering, maybe there's something that I bottled up then, which I'm unaware of now because I pushed it down. But even at the funeral, I couldn't cry in front of people, and I had that feeling in my throat, that heaviness. And then when I was on my own, I would cry. But I think that's just part of the message that a lot of men get when we're younger, is don't cry in front of people or something. So so I never spoke to anyone about that. I spoke to a lot of friends about it, and sure, at the time going out drinking and just talking through it and stuff, but I didn't have like professional help with it.
No. Okay. So if you were to look at it now in hindsight, 15 years later, what would you say was one or two of the key takeaways, either good nor bad, it doesn't really matter, but how did that sort of mold or shape the way that you view yourself and life? I know you said to a certain degree you put pressure on yourself, you want to live a double life to include Matt as well, but what would you say looking back that you took from that experience?
I remember for this thing, I feel quite proud of it because I feel like I could have gone down a really different path. And someone introduced me to the book, The Secret, at the time, which I know gets a lot of, bad stick from some of the things, but actually that really helped me at the time. And then it opened my eyes up to, different teachers, Abraham Hicks or Bob Proctor. And I went down the path of self-improvement. And in a short space of time, my mind was like, I'm going to change my life now. And it was like a shift I had. So that was definitely a powerful thing for me. I think also it revealed to me how short and precious life is. The constant thoughts around, wow, he was here and now he's not here. I'm never going to see him again in this physical lifetime, So it was really a reminder of how precious life is. The feeling of not wanting to waste time and that stuff.
Yeah, beautiful. And yet, being honest with yourself, as you mentioned, that you can occasionally procrastinate like the best of us and all humans. So can you see maybe that when you have this sense of life is precious and it's so short and fragile, and then at the same time you occasionally procrastinate, do you occasionally beat yourself up for that or put some pressure on yourself?
I mean, it happens quite a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. That's why I just wanted to bring it up. Okay. So there's a couple of things that come to mind, as you've obviously heard from whatever the courses you've done in Freedom or podcasts I've been on. I sort of look at these subconscious prisons, right? So you've alluded to a couple of them based on what you can ascertain from your own childhood. But what would you say one or two of the primal prisons that, might be holding you back that would definitely influence finances and abundance?
I think I think you said you had 10 prisons, and I don't know if I've heard them all, and maybe that's for the book, which I'll look forward to.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think one of them, there's definitely some of the not enoughness there on a deeper level. I think there's something along the lines of it's my fault.
Yes. Yeah.
There's like that. I think that's definitely true, especially when I blamed myself when it happened, which is pretty ridiculous because it's not my fault, but that was kind of the message I was. And then I think another thing which I didn't mention, which could potentially be related to, transitioning into the next phase of business and stuff, is with the avoidance, conflict is a big thing for me. Yeah. So the idea of a customer or client being dissatisfied or someone wanting to argue, I hate that feeling. And so there might be something in that sense as well. But I think the it's my fault thing rings true, or I've done something wrong, or if I do something, I could do something wrong. So maybe I should just stay silent or not do too much. Maybe there's something else there, but that's probably just my own reflection of what I would anticipate.
Yeah, no, very, very astute, and again, where I just recognize your intelligence, which would actually ironically make you, or not so ironically, a good coach in the stuff that you want to perhaps transition into from your personal training. So I would say, yes, in that bedfellows of it's my fault, the I'm not enough, or the fear of conflict that, you might do something wrong. They're all associated. And what I want you to consider is the way that I hear it for you energetically is it's all up to you, right? So it's a little different than it's my fault. That's the aftermath, right? So if you look at it very subtle in terms of a cascade, right? It's my fault, or I did something wrong and therefore I'm in trouble with a customer or client. That's all predicated with the story that it's all up to you in the first place.
Right.
Okay, very subtle, but again, I'm appealing to your intelligence. So can you feel that in your body, that it's all up to Paul, right? Like whatever it is, fill in the blank. Like it was up to you to save Matt. It's up to you to take care of your mom. It's up to you to not procrastinate. It's up to you to make more money. It's up to you to transition into coaching.
100%. Yeah. It's like a weight that I'm carrying around, which could potentially be why I go through phases of motivation and then I burn out and I need a break from this.
Yeah, and you can get rid of the could, right? So that is why you go through phases, right? So the thing that I want you to presence, which you just did, is the heaviness, the weight of the idea, this sense of it. It's not responsibility that's powerful, it's responsibility that is onerous, right? There's two ways of looking at responsibility, and we're going to discern between the two so that you can shift out of this. You have responsibility that's associated with fault, guilt, and shame, right?
Yeah.
Whereas my responsibility is associated with power and sovereignty and freedom and individuality, right? Like that I'm responsible for my life as a choice, not as a sort of a sentence, right? Like a prison sentence. So the one you're living in is very confining, and there's the weight, which is also why you have some of that avoidant / procrastination energy, right? So just for a minute, for your own sense of presence, if you live in the world of where it's up to Paul, like for anything to happen, and I know it's not all of life, but that's how it's going to feel. How does that feel apart from the weight? What else are you present to if you're really looking through the lens of it's all up to me? How does that impact you?
It feels very stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what other emotions would be present with that.
Well, let's look at if it's all up to you and things don't happen, then how do you feel?
Like I failed?
Yeah. So failure, frustration, there could be the guilt and the shame, disappointment in yourself, judgment.
Yeah, definitely some self-judgment. Yeah, beating myself up. Yeah.
Yeah. You can start to see, wow, that's the world that you traffic in, the world that you communicate from, the world that you live in. But the onus and the heaviness that comes with that is going to be part of the procrastination, the guilt, the shame, the lethargy, the apathy, the pointlessness. And, even though I know you didn't really dip your toe into it, but back in the day when you weren't necessarily suicidal like your friend, but that would be an extension of that world, right? It becomes so heavy after a while. It's like, well, what's the fucking point of living? Like, I'm doing the best I can. I'm a good guy, but I'm not getting the results I want. The brain and the ego is just going to quit at some point. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So awesome. So that's the number one, or one of them. And I think there's another one that really is combined. It's correlated, but it's also part of the avoidant energy. So this goes back to you sitting on the couch watching TV with your mom, not knowing what kind of dad you were going to get who came home from the pub. So what was that boy's experience in that space, right? You obviously said you were scared, you didn't know, but what might be the way that you relate to the future that had all of this potential fear associated with it?
I think it was definitely, like a scary kind of feeling.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why I took on the role of being the quiet one, and just that was my survival strategy, I think, in that situation. Which potentially, as we talk about the future, could mean that's why I struggle to show up consistently, because I just sometimes I've said I just want to have a business where I can have a private life, and then I've got this other side of me from my experiences where I have a big desire to help people, and it's
Yeah.
like this kind of battle between the two.
Yeah, that's the brake on the, the brake and the
Yeah,
accelerator at the simultaneously, right? Yeah, awesome. So it's very scary. So especially if you presence the energy of that little boy, there's this sort of impending potential doom. Don't know what dad's going to be like. Is he going to be fun drunk? Is he going to be angry drunk? Is he going to be scary drunk? Either way, the way that your brain has become associated with what's about to happen is based predominantly in fear,
yeah.
right? From that age. So then if you're related to the future from a perspective of fear, what could you sort of surmise from that in the way that you would approach the future? What's your relationship to the future if the way that you're feeling about it is scared?
It's avoidance, like
It's
avoid
avoidant,
taking.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now if you look at that, so avoidant as a little boy meant the way that you coped and strategized was, let's be quiet. I want to make sure that I don't stand out.
Yeah.
And then yet here you are wanting to take care of your mom, wanting to live a legacy for Matt, wanting to take care of your girlfriend, obviously wanting to fulfill on your own dreams. But the energy that you have is avoidant, don't stand out, and if anything, be quiet.
Then
But you're in an industry where you actually want to help people, right? So you start to see the conflict and the paradox, the contradiction that your energy is versus your aspiration is.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, which itself adds to more frustration, right? That's the brake and the accelerator again.
Yeah.
So what I want you to consider is that if the way that your brain, and I'm going to assert, is currently wired, is that your relationship to the future is a predominantly fear-based one, then there's no motivation or drive to pursue the future.
Then
That's just basic logic, right? If my future is filled with potentially worst case scenarios, fear, and at some maybe extreme level, your own existence, your own survival, right? Because that little boy, he's not thinking rationally. He doesn't think, well, dad's just drunk. He's probably going to da-da-da. But from the perspective of a being who's young, it's pure survival, right? Like you don't know if you're going to see the next day if dad's in a really bad state,
right.
right? So I
Yeah.
want you to recognize the combination, and going back to the first one, it's all up to you, right? But the way that you're related to life, and especially forward motion, is it's like you're stuck in quicksand.
Uh,
Right? If you get that image of here you are in quicksand or concrete, maybe it's still slightly soft concrete, but you can't move, but you want something and it's up to you to get it, but you're so scared to move forward, that leaves you in this space of sort of basically stagnation.
yeah. That's basically how I feel like I've been for the past, I don't know, 6 years or something like that.
Yeah, and that's probably being generous. It may have been exaggerated during those 6 years, but I'm going to guess
Yeah.
it's been there probably for like 30 plus years, right?
Yeah.
Which is fine. So this is your opportunity as a soul in this incarnation to get past this, right? So looking through those prisons, you can now see, okay, if it's all up to me, then there's an immense amount of fear, pressure, concern that you might do something wrong, you might upset someone, and it's going to be your fault. So again, this overload of responsibility that's dysfunctional and disempowering, combined with, well, it's all up to me, and in order for anything to happen, I have to do shit, but I don't want to do shit because if I move forward energetically into life, that's sort of littered with potential worst case scenarios that have me scared and feeling fear.
Uh,
So you start to see the world that you traffic in, that you function in.
yeah. So I mean that's kind of, I think, articulates why I feel like I go around in circles, because there's this part of me that wants the growth,
Yeah.
that wants the transformation, that wants the changes, and
Yeah.
then there's this fear that's just pulling me back.
Yes, absolutely. So this is where we have to start with awareness, so you can at least see it, presence it, and go, wow, this is literally my life. This is the life that Paul lives, right?
Yeah.
Even with his intelligence, even with his big heart, even with his experience, even with his desire to make a difference, you are at a subconscious level imprisoned and sort of frozen in your ability to express yourself. Even at the funeral, like you said, like you can't express the tears or the anger or the frustration. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So perfect. So the way I want you to consider, so what are you saying about the future? If it's littered with worst case scenarios, you're scared. What is the underlying way that you're relating to the future in terms of yourself? Like if you know my terminology is like I'm not something. Like what would you say about the future as it relates to Paul? Like I'm not what in the future?
Um, Based on the perspective of that fear, I would say I'm not successful.
Yeah, which is a present state, right? So I'm not successful. So it's going to be in future language.
Okay.
So you're
So
trying to avoid something. If you're trying to avoid something, it's because you feel that you're not what?
I'm not capable.
Yeah, that's part of it for sure. That's how it leaves you feeling. But that's present, right? If I'm not capable when, well, I'm not capable now. But in language, I'm not going because it's future based.
Yeah. So
There's a
I'm not going to be successful. I'm not going to achieve my goals.
Yeah, perfect. It's in that realm, right? So feel
Yeah.
that. So think about that. This isn't a conscious thought. Your conscious thought is, I want to help people. I want to make a difference. I want to take care of my mom. I want to take care of my girlfriend. I want to leave a legacy for Matt. But the way that you relate to life is that I'm not going to be successful. I'm not. So what's the point? Do you see? So that's the tug of war where that's what you want to do something, but the way that you relate to your future is it's not going to happen anyway. So it all starts to become completely futile, which is why you could feel apathetic and lethargic and avoidant.
It's interesting because I feel like I've done so much, like, work on self, and maybe too much. Sometimes you can do too much, but
Yeah.
like I genuinely believe like so much is possible, like but maybe even that thought is more of a general thought than to my own experience.
So you got to understand the difference between your intellect and your conscious understanding of life and listening to my stuff, pure possibility,
Yeah.
versus your body and your subconscious, which is stagnant and it doesn't want to move forward because of fear and apathy, because, well, it's not going to work anyway. I'm not going to be successful. So the way that I phrase it in terms of one of these prisons is that you're not going to be okay. It's a little bit more of a catch-all, right? It's not so much around the arena of success or finance, but just generally, Paul's not going to be okay. Because that's that little boy's experience. It's not logical, it's just he's scared. And so what he's saying is, I don't know how my dad's going to come home. And that means that my survival is at stake, which is I'm not going to be okay. Whatever happens, it's not that you're going to die, but it's not like, oh, I'm going to be awesome and everything's going to be amazing. That's not the way you're relating to the future.
Yeah.
Do you see? You would have a different way of moving through life with a different sense of motivation and self discipline, which would be excited about where you're going, versus this more sort of apathetic, lethargic, and heavy way of trying to like walk through molasses or maple syrup or quicksand, where you're like, yeah, I want to get there, but energetically, the way you're relating to the future is it's not desirable. So why the hell would I move forward? Can you see that? So I want you to really understand these two worlds, right? It's up to you, which is filled with and littered with a massive amount of potential guilt and shame and failure, combined with you're not going to be okay anyway. So can you start to feel in your body where that's what creates all of that density and that gravity, both energetically, psychologically, and emotionally?
Maybe this is like, go back to my friend, and when I was unable to express emotion, I feel like I sometimes struggle with the feeling of what you're sharing now.
Yeah. That's okay. That's okay. But you could obviously earlier you sense the heaviness, the weight of that, like it's all up to you.
Yeah, I can feel that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the weight of it's up to you. And then you can feel the avoidant energy, which is the term you've used, as it relates to a future that's not desirable or where you're not going to be okay, right? You can feel that.
Yeah.
So you think about it, you've got the weight of thinking it's all entirely up to you with the potential guilt and shame of being a failure and not fulfilling, combined with the avoidant energy, which is really the reflection, the reaction to a future that you're scared of. What if I don't? make it, become successful, make enough money, take care of my mom, whatever. That combination is a death sentence.
Yeah.
Even in the face of all of your will and your aspiration and your inspiration and all the beautiful intentions you have, you know, it's going to fall short, because the biggest weight, the sort of the mass of the iceberg under the water, is the heaviness and the feeling of guilt and shame and dysfunctional responsibility, combined with the anticipation of an unfulfilled future. Right? So
Yeah,
let's go. So let's go through the exercises. So you know, if I were to cut Paul open, am I going to find a physical manufacturing label inside of you that says Paul, born in England, I don't know if you're born in Cornwall, but born in England? You know, it's all up to him. Am I going to find that physical manufacturing label inside of you?
No.
I'm not, right? Okay, so it's not part of your hardware. If someone knew how to read DNA, part of your physical sort of DNA and chromosomes in a cell, they could explain your eye colors and your body type. So this isn't part of that. So where does the "I'm not going to be okay" live? Where does that, because it is part of your reality.
And I'm not going to be okay.
Where is that? Where are we going to find that?
I think in my chest.
Okay, that's where the sensation is located, which makes sense, right? Because that's where there's the life force of how you breathe, right? Like, you know, so there's a heaviness which tends to suffocate us a bit. So I'm not going to, you know, it's up to me is going to feel, as you said, weighty, right? So if you were wearing a lot of weight on your body, you wouldn't be able to breathe so easily, which is the absence of expansion, you know, inspiration, to be able to inspire, which is also receiving. So in the world of "it's all up to me," there is that constraint. So that's where it feels. But where is the language? "It's all up to me." Where does that live? Where the words live?
In my head.
Yeah, in your head, right?
Yeah.
And I want you to consider that in your head points to where you've become misidentified with your personality or your ego or your identity, whatever word. So that it's the Paul that you are for yourself. You don't walk around saying "it's all up to me." It's just, it's so up to you that that's just how you live. Right? It's not even a belief. It's just the way life is. Well, duh, it's all up to me. So when you look through that lens of "it's all up to me" as though it is you, we get the world of heaviness and apathy and a sense of potential failure and the overall sort of gravity of, well, it could be your fault if you fuck it up, right? So if it's in your head, and I'm going to say more accurately, it's in the space that is your mind, and it's made up of words, "it's up to me," like it's literally sound, right? So if it's just words and it's just in your mind, is it a truth that who Paul is that it's up to you? Is that really who you are?
No, it's not.
It's not, is it?
No.
So I want you to consider it's the way that you relate to yourself and hence life. It's not you. It's a very deeply entrenched program that you've become misidentified with.
Yes.
So just off the top of your head, if it's all up to you, what does that not allow for?
It does. I mean, I would say the first word is kind of your work freedom.
Yeah, definitely doesn't allow for freedom, right? Because whether you realize it or not, 24/7, you're constantly working because it's all up to you. Even if you're sleeping, your brain is working, trying to figure stuff out. Perfect. So it doesn't allow for freedom. What else does it not allow for? If it's all up to you, if the whole of your life is up to you, what does that not allow for?
Life itself.
Yeah, only life itself, right? Not a big deal. You're only denying life itself. So in this case, denying life itself, what does that represent?
Possibility.
Yeah. Think about it this way, energetically. If it's all up to you, which way is the flow?
There's a lot of resistance there. I'm going against the grain, or I'm going against, flying upstream.
Totally. Because if it's up to you, it's all from me out.
Yeah.
Right? It's all up. It's from Paul out. It's up to me. So what now, if you look at it that way visually, what does that deny?
It denies me to receive things.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And really get that. This is why it was so hard for you to see this, because you've lived for 30 plus years in the absence of receiving.
Yeah.
But really get that, mate, because this is a massive blind spot.
Yeah.
You're acting like a silo, like this individual guy who's trying to fucking save the whole planet, but by himself.
Yeah.
It's insanity.
Even as you're saying that, I have a voice in my head saying, but it is up to me, isn't it?
Well, of course. It's been there for 30 fucking 5 years, you know?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, so that it's not gonna want to go away. This is the biggest obstacle of real freedom, is transcending a voice that has defined you for so long. I hope you're enjoying this conversation and even moved by it. And perhaps part of you would love to learn more, to go deeper and really understand the mechanics of the mind, whether it's to help yourself or others you care about. What would it mean to you to be able to break free from the subconscious limitations that hold you back and help others to do the same? If that's something you'd love to be able to do and to discover with it a new world of freedom and possibility, then I invite you to check out my mastermind. With over 30 hours of theory and coaching led by me personally, it's my most powerful and life-changing offering. You can find out more information at petercrone.com/mastermind. Okay, and back to the conversation.
It's up to me. Also for me means like I'm responsible for like taking the actions to change results in my life. That's kind of how I see it as well. But obviously from how you're showing it, I think it's much deeper than that. So
much deeper. So yes, I'm not denying that as individuals, it's incumbent upon us to have thoughts, feelings, and actions that then lead to some sort of result.
Yeah.
But are you separate from the whole of life?
No.
No. Okay. How did you meet your girlfriend?
I love how I met my girlfriend because I was getting frustrated on the dating apps for so long, and then actually, I think one of your mastermind students is a RTT therapist. So I did a session with her, and then we met organically about a month or so later. And the funny thing is, I didn't change anything. I guess just something had shifted in my perspective or my energy. But there was no different techniques or anything, you know.
Where did you meet? A grocery store, a party, a friend's house?
So we have Thanksgiving, which has just been this weekend actually, and then we met 3 years ago at a Friendsgiving.
Okay, so she was a friend of the friend that you went to too?
Correct, yeah.
And you didn't know her before that?
No.
Okay, so now just look at that. So was it up to you to make that happen?
No, that was just life happening for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go. Oops. Yeah. So do you see? So when you look through the lens of it's up to you, it's amazing that even something like that happened. Because even as much as we hold on to the prisons and our constraints and our limitations, life isn't going to let us stay there. So it gave you one example at least, and there's probably going to be others that you can recall when you start to feel into this, but you have shut down, not through your own conscious choice, it's not your fault, but you've shut down the energy of receiving, which I could also call contribution.
Yeah.
It will, if you really look at it, it will be very difficult for Paul to receive compliments. It will be very difficult for you to receive opportunities. It will be very difficult for you to receive just cash out of nowhere, because it's all up to you. Can you see the conflict between you saying you want to have abundance, but it's all up to you, yet life, let's put it this way, the whole universe, which is last count 18 plus billion light years wide, pretty big, you know, with everything that's out there, is that more abundant or is Paul more abundant?
The universe.
But it's all up to you. Do you see how asinine it is?
Yeah.
You're swimming in abundance that is constantly, I assert, trying to contribute to you in ways that you can't calculate, like this Thanksgiving where this girl that ends up being someone you love and is your girlfriend shows up out of nowhere. Is life contributing to you because you're in a space for whatever reason at that moment? You become so disenchanted with the dating apps, which is Paul got out of his own way for a minute, gave up because he was the one trying to make it work. And in your giving up, you actually opened and life was able to contribute to you for a second. Do you see that?
Yeah. Yeah,
so
I do.
to go back to my question, one of the things that you are denying is life contributing to you, and life is abundance. You told me in your video and at the beginning of this conversation, you want to be financially more successful. You want abundance.
Then,
But I want you to be responsible for, not fault, but powerfully understand the way you relate to life is it's all up to you. So life around you, everywhere you go, 24/7 is abundance, trying to give to you. But the way you relate to it is, no, it's all up to me. Don't worry about me. I'll take care of it.
then,
So then you wonder why you're not abundant.
yeah.
Abundance is knocking on your door energetically, but for you, unless it's something that you do, you don't see it.
Yeah, I think that's it. I feel like I feel like I'm always working, even when I'm not working. My mind is thinking about how to do something else.
Which is exactly what I just said about 10 minutes
Yeah.
ago, that even when you're sleeping, your brain will be working on how to figure shit out.
Yeah.
But that's the world where you think it's all up to you, where I've just, through my first example, how did you meet your girlfriend, proved to you it can't be up to you, because you could never have calculated, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to quit dating apps, and then in about a month, I'm going to go to a friend's Thanksgiving, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to attract a girl that I've never met before who I'm going to be attracted to. You start to see how preposterous that is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's pretty funny, actually.
It is. It's a fucking joke.
Yeah.
So this is where you get to pull your head out of your arse, as we say back in the UK, and realize that you really don't have much say in life, other than the degree to which you can stop it coming to you.
Then,
You're surrounded, you're literally in the middle of an abundant universe. And through no fault of your own, so there's no guilt, but just notice what you're doing is like blocking it flowing to you.
yeah. That's what I felt like. I felt there must be some kind of blocks that I'm just not seeing, because
Yeah.
I don't know how many more things I need to do, or how many courses I need to take, or how much more knowledge I need to gain. It's like, you know what I mean? It's just,
Do I know what you mean? I'm the one helping you see it. Like, absolutely.
I know. It's yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. So in the absence, okay, so we said there's no manufacturing label that says it's up to me. It's in your head. What form? In words. So if it's only in words in your head, is it true? No. Okay, so Paul, in the absence of it's up to you, and this might feel scary for a minute because this is all you've known, you can't relate to life like it's all up to you. That's gone. In fact, it's the opposite. You're like, no, none of this shit's up to me. I'm part of life, and life is just always trying to give to me. So you can't relate to life like it's all up to you. How might you feel walking around?
I think like my first thoughts are pretty anxious because it feels scary.
That's what I just said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the residual self trying to fucking hold on. You don't know any other way to live. So this is why it takes a leap of faith, right? So it's not up to you. Life is not up to you. Now, you co-create. Yeah, you do your part, but it's a very small part relative to what life is doing. Like,
Yeah.
look at it like energetically from a physiological perspective, right? You've studied, obviously, anatomy, biochemistry. So did you eat something today?
I ate some Korean food. I had some soup, a little bit of rice, and a little bit of kimchi and an egg.
Okay, great. So after you ate it, did you sit to one side and say, okay, I can't talk to you right now, girlfriend, because it's up to me to digest my food too. That's
Right.
fucking stupid, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I'd check myself into a mental hospital if I started saying
Well,
that.
you're not far from it. Right? Yeah, so you didn't do that. Okay, so you're okay with digestion happening without you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you let that go, but you just say, okay, I'm going to sit down for a minute, and I forgot to keep squeezing my heart so that I can circulate my blood.
Yeah.
Did you? No, you didn't do that either? Okay. Did you do the oxygen and carbon dioxide transfer between your lungs and the blood vessels?
Like,
No, you didn't do that. Okay. Okay. Have you been slowly pushing your nails out because of the cell replication so that they can become longer so that you'll clip them in a couple of weeks?
No,
No, there's not much you're really doing, is there, really, if we break it down?
no. I
Right.
think maybe consciously just making sure I don't get hit by traffic as I cross the road, but
Yes. Well, you're definitely avoiding a lot, which is where you can start to be responsible for the fact that through the lens of it's up to you, what you're doing is denying that life is always trying to take care of you, from the oxygen you breathe to the carbon dioxide that you exhale to the waste products that go through your kidneys and through your bowels to get rid of any toxins, to whatever fights are going on at different cells in your blood and your lymph to be able to remove so that you don't get sick. There are literally billions of reactions happening every day just in your body that you're oblivious to, that have got nothing to do with you.
yeah.
And then we can throw in meeting the girl that you apparently are really into because you've been with her for 3 years. You could not have orchestrated that, but life took care of it for you. Are you starting to see that life is probably slightly more powerful than you?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And so now, really seeing that, what might that feel like for you if you could let life be the 99.9% and pull the 0.1? What might that feel like if you walked around like that?
Thinking and trying to feel what you just said, the first thing would be more relaxed shoulders and a bit of weight kind of eased off. Of course,
Okay, there we
need
go.
to be the embodiment of it as a permanent thing, but that's kind of the feeling. It would be, if that was a truth, and that would be, yeah, I think just a little bit of weight off the shoulders.
Great,
Like
that's a start.
I can breathe for a moment.
Okay, and that's where you pointed to your chest earlier when we spoke of where is it's up to me. You pointed to your chest, the tightness. Great. So that shows me that you're letting go of that constraint. Why? Because it's not a truth. I mean, I could go on. I could give you another 1,000 examples of things that happen in your life completely without you being present. So again, I can completely and utterly obliterate the lie that it's up to you.
Not to challenge that, but just as a thought that came to me.
Yeah.
How would you differentiate that when it comes to the conscious and the subconscious mind then?
Well, your conscious mind is what's really trying to think it's all up to you. Your subconscious is already ingrained in that, right? Like, so what we're trying to do is soften the grip of your body, your lungs, your energetic behavior, your constant rumination, even at sleep, that is just driving your life and not allowing abundance to flow to you because you're blocking it. You think it's all up to you. So your subconscious is running the show. And then consciously, like I said, you're aspiring to, you want to take care of your mom, you want to take care of your girlfriend, da, da, da. It doesn't matter. You can think all day. That's why you have these motivational moments for 1, 2, 3 months. And then you collapse because you're fighting. That's the brake, is your subconscious. And the accelerator is your conscious because you're smart trying to do something. Again, it's all beautiful. It's well intended, but it's futile.
Yeah.
So again, when it's all up to you, what is there no room for in Paul's life?
There's no room for anything. It's just
Yeah, and anything is everything, and everything is abundance.
yeah. So yeah, no room for abundance if it's all up to me. Yeah,
And what was it you wanted to talk to me about?
abundance and yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's felt like I knew there was something blocking me, but I just couldn't see what it was.
That's why I'm here, so you can see the blind spot, see the lie, see the prison that you're living in that's so suffocating, that tightens your chest, that tightens your purse strings, and it doesn't allow abundance to flow to you.
And
It would be as real for you to say, life just flows abundantly to me. How would that feel if that's your reality? Life flows abundantly to you.
it feels freeing to some degree, but there's also a thought there of which I know is ridiculous. It's like, oh, but then I don't know what's going to happen, and I need to take back. It's that trying to fight it again. Which
That's
I
the
understand.
same thing. This is going to be your challenge, like anybody, right? Is that I have now for probably like close to 30 minutes, at least maybe 40, pointed out the prison, but that pales in comparison to 35, 36 years of conditioning.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is strong in you. And so this is going to be your challenge, is not what I'm telling you in terms of the truth. The truth is life is abundant. And the
Yeah.
truth is, in terms of your reality and your conditioning, you've been looking through, past tense, you've been looking through a lens of constraint. The thing is, we become so identified with the constraint, we think it's the way it is. It's not, you don't have it like this is Paul's view, you have it like this is life. For somebody else, they might be walking around right now with like stacks of money coming their way because they're like, oh yeah, shit, life just gives to me. It's crazy. Like I go to this and someone gives me a check, and I go to that and I meet this beautiful girl, and then I get a job opportunity. Like that's equally not necessarily the truth, but it's the way they relate to life. So what your challenge is not whether life is going to contribute to you, but it's letting go of the false, illusory belief that you've been living in. And that's going to take some practice, because that's going to be scary, because you think unless, you're holding the steering wheel, shit's going to go fucking haywire.
Yeah, which probably goes back to the fearful little boy of not, worried about not being okay.
Yeah, so that's the second part we want to get to, right? So that is exactly where you try to control circumstances for your own survival. So what you end up doing is just controlling a very small world that is lacking abundance. It's lacking contribution. It's lacking receiving. Okay, so let's look at the second one, as you brought it up, and it's perfect timing. If I were to cut you open, am I going to find a manufacturing label, physical, inside of you that says, Paul, born in the UK, he's not going to be okay?
No.
Not at all. So where does it live?
In the mind.
Yeah, and what is it made up of?
Just words, vibration.
Yeah, literally just words. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And when you look through that lens, we know that you have avoidant energy, you feel scared, you're worried, you procrastinate, and you really don't move forward with things in life, even though you're trying. Great. So it's just words in your mind. It's just sound. I'm not going to be okay. So is it an absolute truth that who you are is that you're not going to be okay?
No.
It's not. Right out of the gate, where's the evidence that we know it's not true?
Because I am okay.
Because you're there.
Yeah.
Because you're right in front of us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a pathetic lie. Not only is it a lie, but it's a terrible one. But it does a great job of creating your anxiety, your fear, your being scared, and hence being avoidant. So the combination of the two, one cuts you off from life, and then the other prevents you from pursuing life. So then you wonder why you're living in a non-abundant universe. And your main concern, rightly so, was finances.
Yeah.
So is it true that you're not going to be okay?
No.
No. Okay, so in the absence of that fear, and again, this is a world that you're not familiar with that I'm introducing you to, so it takes a little bit of a leap and a bit of imagination. What if Paul could not relate to life like he's not going to be okay? Literally impossible. As it relates to the future, you had no fear, no avoidant energy, no concern for your own survival. How might you feel in the way that you go about life?
Relaxed.
Yeah, there you go. That was a nice exhale.
Yeah. Relaxed and like I don't need to be rushing. I don't need to be anywhere. I don't need to do anything like specific. It's all good.
Yeah, taken care of. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So not only is it taken care of, which is more the present experience because it's not up to you. And by the way, in the absence of it's up to you, it can't be your fault, right? That helps get rid of the guilt and the shame and the pressure.
Yeah.
Do you see the correlation of those two?
Yeah.
And then if it's, you're not going to not be okay, because it's a double negative, right? You lived past tense in the I'm not going to be okay. What I'm telling you is you're not going to be okay. So it dissolves it. It's gone. Oh, fuck. I can relax. I don't have to keep looking out for worst case scenarios.
Yeah.
So not only does it allow you to soften, which is a receiving energy, so things from the future now can start to align. They literally are aligning based on your shift energetically with new possibilities you can't possibly imagine, just like meeting your girlfriend 3 years ago at a Thanksgiving dinner, because you're out of the way now. So life is like, oh, okay, if you're not worried about all of these worst case pending doom filled futures, we'll remove those and we'll bring you something that's way more inspiring and contributory, right? So you can just relax and receive, And by the way, if there's nothing to worry about, when you are motivated or you are inspired, your action becomes way more powerful moving forward because you're now just on the accelerator when it's appropriate, not on the brake at the same time.
It kind of makes me think of this idea of create from a place of inspiration rather than from desperation.
Yeah. Massive distinction from love of life versus fear of life. And you've been living a very desperate life. It's desperate to think it's all up to you, and it's desperate for sure to think that you're not going to be okay. Totally different human being. Just through the eradication and the dissolution of these two lies that have been defining you for 30 plus years.
So do you sense a shift from our conversation?
Subtle, there's a lot of you have lived in this space for so long, and there's a real attachment to it. It's going to take you a minute, based on your makeup, because part of it's up to you means that you now think it's up to you to figure this all out too.
Yeah.
Right. And also the fear that you're not going to be okay buys into the fear that you're not going to get this right. So they're both going to be lingering in the background, right? So it's going to take a minute for you to really fucking relax, get over yourself, and as I said earlier, pull your head out of your ass and realize, oh, I am the only thing in the way of complete abundance, which is ever present around me.
And
so it's going to take some practice. We start with awareness and then we move into practice. And the practice is going to be like, I don't know if you're at home with your girlfriend, but you go and tell her whatever, like you share whatever comes to mind of like, honey, you're not going to believe this. I have forever thought it's all up to me. Like, I think it's up to me to take care of you. I think it's up to me to make sure that I have enough money so you don't have to work. And she will probably say something like, well, yeah, I know that's what you do all the time. Because they always see it. And I've also been so scared that things aren't going to work out, which creates a massive amount of pressure, which is where I procrastinate and I have avoidant energy. Be like, yeah, no, I know that about you. That's why you're always anxious.
Yeah.
So sharing with her and whomever is appropriate will help you to reinforce your new reality. And then you have to update and say, you know what? I am so open to life just fucking taking care of details for me. I am so open to life contributing to me out of nowhere. I am not going to live in a place of fear where my future is filled with worst case scenarios. My future is phenomenal. That's what's going to inspire me, right? So you start to create a new way of relating to who provides abundance and what your future looks like.
Damn.
And you literally will be a different human being. Now, are you going to slip back to the old way of thinking? Of course. You've got just over an hour of me talking to you, of which maybe 30, 40 minutes was the revealing part, compared to, as I said, 35, 6, 7 years of, you thinking life is a certain way.
Yeah.
So if it's not up to you, because it's not, which opens up receptivity, contribution, and abundance, and you're not going to be okay, meaning there's nothing to fear, how could you be in the world? How could Paul feel as he walks around?
Well, I could feel as I shared, relaxed. I could feel free.
Yeah.
I could spread my wings a bit.
Yeah.
I feel like I would be of better service to the people in my life, to myself, to my clients.
100%.
And those that I love. I think that's kind of what comes up for me.
Great. So now you get to practice that, right? Because even your anatomy is so trained to be a little tense, to be a little tight, because it's up to you. That creates pressure and you're not going to be okay. That creates defense, both of which energetically, anatomically create resistance. So one of the things for you, particularly if you're in the world of fitness, will be good is to shake it all out. Like, whatever that looks like, whether it's a boxing class, you go for a run, you do some sprints, you do some crazy workout, HIIT training, it doesn't really matter. To loosen your body.
Right.
To soften, because your psychology has seeped into every cell of your body to create resistance and tension.
Yeah.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Which is why when you said, wow, I can feel like I can breathe easier. Great. We got a semblance. We got a reflection of the softness coming in. You would feel more relaxed. You let out a couple of big exhales. These are all the anatomical reflection of your mind starting to soften, which is what I want to see. But if you want to accelerate that process, or at least continue it and progress it, then you got to keep softening your body and realize, holy shit, I'm in an abundant universe that is constantly trying to contribute to me. The only thing that's ever got in the way of that is the way that I related to myself and life, and that was a lie. Okay?
Yeah. So books and massages as well and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Massages, drink lots of water, flush out all of these old toxins that are associated with constraint. And more than anything, lighten up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've been through some heavy stuff. I get it. And for that, I have compassion, whether it be with your dad. I get how scary that is, especially when you've got competition with brothers either side of you. You're the middle child, combined with whatever you had to witness with Matt, that makes life feel so scary, fragile, and precious, which again, you used as evidence to put more pressure on yourself. And as hard as this is to hear, whatever Matt went through was precisely what he went through. That was what his soul decided it needed. There's nothing you could have done. There's nothing anyone else could have done. That's exactly the way he drew up his life. So even there, you can find some softness and forgive yourself for what you think you might have done or should have done. It's completely erroneous. Life is unfolding precisely the way it's meant to for everyone, including this conversation I'm having with you, my friend. So you don't even have to have guilt or shame about the way you've been living. It's totally fine. But now, with the new awareness, you have the opportunity to lighten up, to relax, to breathe, and to be open to life contributing to you. And that is abundance.
Yeah, I feel that. How do I get the piece right between action and allowing though? Because obviously I do need to take some action. I can't just.
Well, we don't know that. Let's just consider you don't have to take action. There is some action, sure. You had to go to the Thanksgiving party to meet her, but did you? Who knows if you'd run into her 3 days later in a grocery store by accident? Okay, well then I had to go to the grocery store. Yeah, well, you could fill in the had tos for everything. But what I want you to consider, which is such a leap for you, is that your life is curated, orchestrated precisely for what you need, so you can just lighten up and relax. You can't fuck it up. And feel in your body, what would that be like if there's literally nothing that you can do to fuck it up or to avoid all of the goodness that is on the way to you? I know that's so foreign to your nervous system, but that's the inquiry for you to look at. How would I feel knowing that everything that is destined for me is on the way? My only task is to be present and to allow it, and to follow my instincts of what feels good in the moment, of whether it's I go to bed early, I go to a party, I go to this meeting, I go to the gym. Like just let life orchestrate the details for you. So yes, taking action, but taking action that feels in alignment with your highest good, and then trusting and allowing life to contribute the rest. That is such a foreign world for you, I know, and it's going to take some practice. But
yeah,
if you have,
I feel like that message is more in my head at the minute, and maybe it takes some work to integrate into the feeling of it.
Of course, yeah, it's going to take a while to sink in below your neck, but you've had enough moments where you pointed to your chest with the relief that you could breathe easier. You've had some big exhales. Your shoulders did drop. Your body did feel more relaxed. So it is there. It's just your body is going to reference your mind, and your mind is want to go back to what you've known. So that's the practice, is to keep letting go of the old conditioning and the old programming by realizing it's just not true. It's just not true that it's up to you. Do you play your part? Yes, but it's not all up to you. Are you not going to be okay? No, that's just not true. How do we know that? You're there. I can see you. Right?
Yeah.
So to start to live in the truth of we don't know what's going to happen, but stop filling the I don't know with worst case scenarios.
Got it.
Okay? That's a different world, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I recently went away for like 3 weeks, and I think that experience of just not focusing on goals and work and whatever else it felt so good. I just felt like I needed it, which is kind of, I think, how you were saying, just to be living every day anyway.
Yes, and then you don't need to go away because you're living in an abundant vacation type world, which is called life itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So you've already got an example of that recently, of what that felt like, to just let go of the control, to let go of the fear, to let go of the need to make things happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's gonna take some practice, but I'm definitely on board with this, and I really appreciate you helping me see
Yeah.
some of the blind spots and shift some stuff around.
Yeah, you're welcome, mate. And again, it is, but you don't know how long and you don't know how hard, right? So just even that, you just want to keep letting go of not knowing, right? You didn't know that this was going to be the conversation we had. You had maybe some sort of semblance of hope or thought that I might be able to point out a blind spot, but you didn't know this is what was going to happen, right?
Exactly. And I was in bed last night struggling to sleep because I was excited and worried about this conversation. I was like, what? Yeah, just the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which isn't the fear of the unknown. It's the fear of your part, which is you're not going to be okay. Like you might not get what you want from Peter Crone. It might not work out. What if he doesn't help me? All of that's the fear.
Yeah.
This was more the unknown, which is that I pointed out something you couldn't see.
Yeah.
That's the good part. So again, there's more evidence. So when you stop trying to figure it all out and let life show you something you can't anticipate, it works out.
Mm.
Do you see?
Yeah.
You become way too smart to figure shit out.
Yeah.
You know, this is one of my quotes for you that will make sense. I say, being smart doesn't make you any happier. It just makes your reasons why you're not way more convincing.
Yeah.
Do you get that?
Yeah.
Stupid people do all sorts of shit that they shouldn't do because they don't think about the ramifications or the consequences. So
Yeah.
you would benefit from dumbing down a bit. Of course, that's not going to actually happen, but to stop trying to figure it all out, be a little bit more, quote unquote, oblivious, and let life surprise you.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah, that'll be my practice.
that is your homework. Stop knowing so much. So it certainly saves you time from having to do more fucking courses and learning shit.
Yeah.
Listen, Paul, such a pleasure to be with you. I appreciate your vulnerability, certainly sharing, some of these very difficult experiences, certainly with your friend Matt, and even as a kid with your dad. These are scary things for a kid, and certainly for you to share. I appreciate your generosity and your contribution to me and the people who get to watch this and listen, because I promise you there are millions of people who have the same kind of constraints that you've shared, and hopefully through you, you've already started to make a help by helping them see that they're not truths and that they too can live from a place of freedom and let life contribute to them effortlessly too. So thank you for your generosity.
Of course, and I appreciate you taking the time to help me. And that was one of my other goals of this. I wanted to help more people. I'm sure there's going to be some others that can relate to it. So
For
thank you
sure.
again. Just real briefly, I wanted to ask you, just because your perspective and your background, what would you advise me in terms of, and I know I don't want to be doing more now, but with the transition into kind of the mindset stuff from fitness, do you have any kind of just advice about that kind of path of how I might approach things?
Absolutely. Based on what we just shared, don't even think about it for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's strengthening or continuing to use the muscle where you're trying to figure it out. You
Yeah.
don't know that in 10 days somebody says, hey, I watched your Instagram clip, or I don't know what you have out there in the world. And they're like, would you be open to like just doing a coaching session with me? They're the kind of things that happen
Yeah.
when you're open and not trying to figure it out. So for now, your only job is to not know, is to relax, to have a little bit more fun, to be responsible for your real wellness, not your physical, sculpted wellness of your body. I'm sure you're in great shape, but more energetically to be relaxed, to be open, to be receiving, and let life contribute to you. So
Yeah.
for now, I would at least take a week off of trying to figure anything out about a transition or what you're meant to do or any of that, and just let life surprise you.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. Homework accepted.
Homework is don't do anything.
Yeah. Okay.
What a great assignment that is. I guarantee you every student around the world is, I wish I had a teacher like Peter Crone who told me
Yeah.
my homework is to do jack shit.
definitely.
course, you're going to do stuff, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I appreciate it, Peter. Thank you so much. I'm extremely grateful.
It's a pleasure to be with you, mate. I look forward to catching up and to hear, hopefully, a little bit more fun, a lot better breathing, and maybe some surprise contributions from life.
Yeah, of course. Likewise.
Before we do our 30-day check-in, I just wanted to remind you to check out some of my life-changing offerings. For my 3.5-month deep dive with over 30 hours of theory and live coaching, all led directly by me, please check out my mastermind at petercrone.com/mastermind. And to join my Freedom membership with over 100 hours of pre-recorded programming covering everything from anxiety to relationships, health, financial freedom, as well as recordings of all my live events and Q&As, please visit petercrone.com/freedom. I'm just really curious in this follow-up just to see how you've been, things that you've realized, maybe some different patterns that you've noticed or behaviors that you've experienced. And obviously, if you have any other questions based on what we discussed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, firstly, I didn't really have the time to thank you enough, Peter. Honestly, I'm extremely grateful. Having the chance to have that one-on-one interaction was amazing. And on reflection, I think at the time, I was very nervous. I felt after our call, I didn't get sweaty much, but my armpits were drenched. And I don't know if it was just like just my body releasing stuff, or if I was just, it was a combination of things. Right?
Yeah. I guess I have that effect on people.
Yeah. It means I was like, I don't have to work out now. I can just talk to Peter and I was going to get my benefits.
Yeah, just have an emotional workout.
But yeah, no, I think on reflection, it was really powerful. I haven't had any, physical changes in my life with regards to the outcomes that I wanted. But I did take your suggestions to, basically just not do stuff for a while and stop trying to do too much, which has been nice. And I think the biggest thing I found is that the conversation that we had, the blind spots that you helped me see, I think the two main ones were it's all up to me, and I'm not going to be okay in the future. Something bad is going to happen.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I think really some of the other stuff that I've been interested in the spiritual kind of realm, I've started seeing a lot more patterns of things that you were saying, and I actually didn't mention, I don't think, but several years ago I chatted with Abraham Hicks. I went in the hot seat, and the message at the time was actually, I think the struggle I had was living in the present moment, and I think the message that you gave me and that Abraham Hicks gave me was very similar. And then I'm starting to see these patterns in, lots of the spiritual teachings. So yeah, I think there's a lot there. And really, I think you said to me something like, more than anything, to lighten up. And I was like, yeah, I can be in the energy sometimes where I'm thinking about the current situation, or I'm thinking about my problems, or I'm thinking about the past, and it's just a crock of shit, it doesn't have any influence on my future, really. So just getting out of that. I think the biggest takeaway was just getting out of that headspace, and honestly, like, doing whatever I'm doing, if I'm playing football or if I'm, going out in nature somewhere or whatever, to lighten my mood and to feel better, and then to not be so focused on trying to force change. And then really tapping into the universal supply, not using my own mind to look at my existing reality, just trusting, because you had shared with me, it cracked me up when you said about the examples of making my fingernails grow themselves and, consciously digesting my food and stuff, because it's ridiculous, really. So yeah, no massive changes in my physical environment, but I definitely think there's more awareness and some insights, and I'm probably more at a point now where I'm looking to embody some of these on a deeper level, whatever that looks like. But those are just some kind of thoughts that have come up since our conversation.
I love it. And whilst, I love the candidness, I love the honesty. And whilst it might seem, as you said, that there aren't any drastic changes in your physical circumstances, I would say they pale in comparison anyway to the changes in your internal terrain, right? So
Yeah.
if you're, to use your, the correct medical term, a crock of shit, recognizing how much you were just attending to your own thoughts, worried about things, trying to control things. Like, I think for myself, with the work that I've done here now for 2.5 decades with people, there is so much more value to be had by a change in your inner experience of life than there is in your circumstances, right? Like, I've worked with, I don't know, close to 15, 20 billionaires at this point. So you could argue that their circumstances are quintessentially perfect, ideal, but they don't have peace. They still struggle with anxiety, frustration, anger, depression, broken relationships, children that, have ended up addicted to substances. Like, there's all sorts of suffering, right?
Yeah.
So what I love, and this is going to be your next opportunity, is that the term I use is frequency precedes form, right? So meaning, as Paul changes his internal vibration, then, okay, maybe isn't instantaneous or perhaps at the speed that we sometimes want or that you want, but it is nonetheless going to happen. Meaning, you keep staying in that lighter frame of mind where you're more present, you're less preoccupied with trying to control things, trying to, believe that it's all up to you, as we discussed, or as the default setting for most people's brains is worried about a future outcome that hasn't happened yet, meaning, that you're not going to be okay. When all of that just dissipates and you truly embody where you are and you focus on what you're doing from a place of presence and peace, then you will have power to influence life. You just will. And life will meet you there, as opposed to you constantly reinforcing the internal energy of lack or scarcity, which is the precursor to worrying about a future that hasn't happened yet, right? If you knew that your life worked out and that all of the success that we talked about that you want to establish was going to happen, you know that you would feel a sense of peace, a sense of calm, a sense of confidence, right? And so that's the energy that we want to continue to harness, to strengthen, because that is the precursor to those events transpiring. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like when people think, when I have this thing, then I will feel this way. Whereas actually, from I think what you teach, and I'm seeing some of the patterns now because of a conversation, is that actually focus on those thoughts and feelings now, and then go through your day-to-day life, and then that's probably, as a byproduct, those things are more likely to happen because it's an energetic shift.
100%. That's the process of creation, right? A very simple sort of tagline that a lot of people may have heard before as it relates to creation is be, do, have, right?
Yeah.
And most people have it the other way around, have, do, be, which is if I have what I want, then I can, if I have more money or if I have the partner, then I can do the things that I really am committed to, and then I can be happy, right? And it's a very simple breakdown. And so the way that we feel, to use your terms, the internal terrain of who we be as human beings is what drives what we do. And then as a byproduct of that, we get what we have, right? So if who Paul was being before was nervous and stressed and controlling, then the things you do had to be an extension of that, and therefore you had the life that you had.
Yeah.
The more that you can embrace Paul being free, confident, at peace, present, joyous, loving, powerful, if these are the qualities that you exude, then it's a natural extension that your communication and your actions are going to be commensurate with that energy, and therefore the results have to reflect that. Do you understand?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And most people, because of the default setting of the brain, have it the other way around, which is this sort of one-day phenomenon when, as you said, I get whatever it is that I think I want, because what we think we want isn't what we want. We actually want the experience internally of what we think having that item will give us, right? It's not, if I gave someone like $1 million in a suitcase or a duffel bag and, locked them in a staircase, underneath the staircase in a cupboard, they're not going to be very happy.
Yeah.
But wait, what's your problem, mate? You've got the million bucks, So it's the idea of what something like that would give us as an experience. So what I love for you is that you've got the smarts, you've got the intelligence, you've obviously dabbled with other forms of teaching. to recognize that, oh, the more you shift internally, the more you have a different way of relating to yourself and life, then everything else will just fall in alignment with that. And that's the power of creation. Otherwise, what I want people to understand is it's actually a form of reaction, right? So what we just delineated there, you shift your internal terrain, that changes the way that you feel, act, and then the results you get. Whereas most people, it's reactive, right? It's they're waiting for something. Well, I'll react when fill in the blank happens, which is the old expression of seeing is believing, which we've all heard.
Yeah.
But I kind of adorn that with my own extension, which is, seeing is believing is also called waiting, right? Because then you're in the victim mindset of like, okay, I'll believe it when I see it. Conversely, for me, it's like believing is seeing, which is called creating, right? So believing that your life works out, believing that you will, in your own definition of success, become successful, is the energetic precursor to the thoughts, feelings, and actions that then will lead to whatever your version of success is.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if it's because I've never considered myself to be like a religious person, really. In the sense of, and no disrespect to any of these types of people, but when I think of the energy of like the Gary V's, the Grant Cardones, that kind of do energy, that is that's coming from like the place of force. Anyway, I don't want to distract what I was going to say about the religion thing, but what I was trying to get at is that because I haven't had that religious or something, let's say someone to look up to, I thought maybe it's up to me, which was one of the things before, but it's some of the awareness has now come around, like, yes, I've got an interest towards spirituality, but maybe not so much, traditional religion or whatever, but the understanding of there's something out there that is bigger than me, that's more powerful than me, the universal mind, whatever you want to put on it. And so allowing, I think, that's almost the comfort in itself, knowing, okay, just focus on shifting my internal state and then trust that things will happen. I might meet someone at the right time, like when I'm at my girlfriend, or I might, have a conversation or whatever. And then that feels like the path of, as someone would say, least resistance. But then going back onto what I was mentioning about these other types of people that I follow, and I definitely value some of that stuff perspective sometimes, but a lot of that energy, and maybe that's where the seeds were planted, that you've got to do more, you've got to get more reps in, you've got to work, 14 hours a day. And so I think there's that balance between the two. There's obviously some work involved, but there's also, it's not from the energy that I was coming from before.
100%. Yeah. I mean, it's beautifully articulated, and I'm with you. I really admire and I find inspiration from different religions, and I pull many of the tenets and the principles that I think align with my own perspective.
Yeah.
But I'm not, religious per se. So I would say I'm much more in the camp of spirituality. I think religion can sometimes divide, whereas I think spirituality is more inclined to unite. So I lean into what I call trust versus faith. Right, faith, you could say, is in a dogma in a religion, which is all great. Mine is more trust in perhaps consciousness, the absolute, or the universe. Pick your poison, it's fine. But I think what it does, to your point, is it gets us out of this separate, individualized, independent mindset where everything's incumbent upon us, right? So that's where you can kind of, as you just did, almost, on cue, relax your shoulders a little bit and go, oh, okay, I don't have to do this all by myself. There are greater forces and bigger intelligences at play here that even I, Peter Crone, with my own intuition and intelligence and perception can't fathom. And it's actually quite comforting because I don't want to have to figure it out. I don't want to have to know. And that does then allow me to sort of surrender and relax, so that even when things don't seem to go my way subjectively, there's a deeper knowing inside of me that actually they are going my way. I just don't know how this particularly unfolds just yet, and allow myself to be surprised that what I thought I wanted not actually happening is the best thing that could have occurred, right? And we've all had that experience.
Absolutely.
So it reminds me of my very early days getting into this, showing my age. When I was in college, I sat with a friend of mine called Guy, and we would, wax lyrical, sit under trees, and do all of the sort of, the kumbaya stuff of asking those big questions of why are we here, what's the meaning of life, and it just led to so many beautiful conversations, which I'm so grateful for, and kind of created the foundation for who I became without me even knowing what I was doing back in the day. But nonetheless, it led to some pretty fun philosophical questions. And I'll always remember he said this quote, and he wasn't religious either, so it wasn't like a dedication to a particular God figure, but he said, yes, believe in Allah, but tie up your camels. Right? And that really spoke to what you just shared, as far as I'm concerned. Like, have faith, have trust in Allah, Jesus, Shiva, Muhammad, whoever it is that you want to believe in. But, take care of the things that you can take care of, right? Like, don't be complacent, don't be lazy, don't be irresponsible. And so that to me speaks to the co-creation experience that it is to be human, right? Is to, okay, I'm not separate from the whole, but I'm equally not the whole, and nor am I in any way discarded by the whole, right? So we could argue that who we are as an accumulation of beings, we represent the whole, right? So like a wave on the ocean is not separate to the ocean, and it's not the entire ocean, but it's nonetheless an aspect of the ocean. And so there's I'll do my part as best as I can, whilst knowing that there's a much bigger force at play, which I am both influencing, but also influenced more importantly by. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, it makes me, the obvious one is the law of gravity. Like, I trust that things are going to work out, but I'm not going to try and defy the laws of gravity and like jump out of a plane or something and hope that I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. See, that's where we're different. I'm still trying to overcome that one.
Oh, yeah. Bit of an extreme example, but yeah.
No, I get it. I mean, that to me is about the only thing that I'll succumb to at this point. I think everything else in terms of people's woes and fears and limitations, I think can be transcended. But, gravity, that's pretty stubborn.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, Paul, I don't know if you had anything else to ask or to share, but I love, look, you've got a big heart. You're obviously super smart. I can feel the shift in your energy in terms of the relaxation, not trying to control everything. It sounds like you, without being there as a fly on the wall of your life, I'm going to guess that you might have had a little bit more joy, a little bit more relaxation in your life since we've spoken, maybe a lot less stress and tension, and as you said, force. I love that distinction. Just for the listeners, one of the things that I do with all of my professional athletes, I ask them to say the following statement. I ask them to say, I am forceful. So they say, I'm forceful, and then I ask them, how does that feel in your body? And invariably, the majority of responses are in the realm of it feels tight, feel tension, it feels like I'm trying to make something happen, I'm pushing. And that's, of course, the experience I want them to have. So that's, I would say, is that Paul, prior to our conversation, was very forceful, right? It comes from a place really of fear and scarcity and lack and separation, which drives the inclination to try and want to control things. Everyone can relate to that. But then I ask my athletes to say, I am powerful. And what does that feel like? So they say, I'm powerful, and they immediately, it's almost like their posture changes. They sit up a little bit. They're like, I feel calm, I feel confident, I feel no matter what happens, I can handle it, that I am held by a greater force of some kind, that I can influence life in a way that isn't dominating, that isn't, abusive, that isn't trying to get my own way. But rather I feel like I am truly making a difference, and I have the power to consciously create the life that I want. And so I feel for you, just to help you with that distinction, you're going from a very forceful perspective to one that is more powerful, where yes, you still have your aspirations and your goals, which is amazing, but there's a degree of surrender which I know can sound counterintuitive, but actually it's not, where we let go, I'm again using a religious expression, where we let go and let God, right? So
Yeah.
kind of we get out of the way, let the universe do its part, where, yes, we have a certain degree of maybe steering like a boat on a river or surfing on a wave. The energy, the real force is life, and we do the best we can to navigate that by steering consciously in the direction that we want to go.
Yeah, that
makes
was beautifully
sense.
put. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's what I see for you, my friend. You've obviously got beautiful aspirations, and I love that, and I really appreciate the kind words at the beginning. It's never lost on me how many people want to have these kind of conversations, who are hopefully listening in right now, who want to spend time with me, whether it's over a relaxing fruit type beverage or on a podcast, and just sort of chip away at some of their constraints and suffering. And that's certainly my commitment here, as you know, as part of my work, to help people transcend the constraints with which they arrive so that they also can find some more freedom. So thank you for the kind words. Thank you for your contribution to this podcast, where people get to listen to your story. And I'm sure there's millions of people who can relate to where you were. And as a byproduct of your vulnerability and your courage, hopefully there's also millions now who've relaxed, and they can lean into just the power of being present and understanding that their life is taken care of in ways that they don't fully understand, and that can give them a greater sense of trust. So it's just great to have conversations like this with people like you, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I appreciate it, Peter. I think the question that comes to me kind of on that really is thinking of other people and even myself, maybe a little bit, but the awareness was the first piece which we spoke about last time, and I've been kind of reflecting on some of that. I think the challenge for many people, including myself, is in the world we live in, where with social media, the different things on the news and everything, is what do you, maybe I'm doing the right things now from what I've shared with you, but what would be, like going to the gym, you want to go 3 times a week, 4 times a week, whatever, consistently to build up your body. What would be the energetic work to be doing? Is it just following what feels good in the moment? Is it to do some kind of mental, visualization or meditation? I'm just curious, like, what's your kind of top recommendation for people when you're looking at the bills that you've got to pay, or, you're late for work, or whatever it might be that's happening in the world, right? Just what's like a mental kind of practice you would recommend? That's really the only question I have for you.
It's a great question, my friend, and I really appreciate your dedication to wanting to embody this, integrate it, and live from this energy, because it is it's super fulfilling. I feel like I'm one of the most blessed men alive, just by virtue of the fact that I get to understand these distinctions and practice them very readily and effortlessly. So yeah, just akin to, as you said, going to the gym, taking care of your body, then you want to take care of your mind. So let's look at the basics, right? What are some of the ways you can take care of your mind? There are the anatomical practices, which is good sleep, good food that is for cognitive health, obviously avoiding toxicity, especially, in the food that we eat. Unfortunately, a lot of these GMO foods and stuff that's covered in glyphosates. So you want to take care of your brain, right? So that's just on the practical side. Then as a practice, in terms of like learning to really embody these principles of freedom, love, possibility, they're sort of the 3 main pillars of my work. It might seem counterintuitive, but you want to discover where you're not free, right? Because if you can find out where you're not free, then there's an access to some freedom on the other side of that. So whatever's in the way is going to be founded in some sort of limitation narrative, which will have the energy of predominantly fear about it. So wherever we feel like inhibited or thwarted in terms of expressing ourselves is an opportunity to find freedom. So that's actually a practice, is okay, if the commitment, like this podcast, to finding freedom is to discover that for ourselves, then the irony is we want to find out where we're not free. So for Paul, wherever that might be, right? If it, even saying you were talking to me, you were nervous, you were sweating a lot. That's not bad. That's human. But where else might you feel that? Is it in a public presentation? When people do speaking engagements in front of a company, what would make Paul a little bit nervous? Would it be to run your own workshop for a weekend where you're kind of challenging yourself a little bit? So that's a practice in terms of freedom. But also in the way that you express yourself, excuse me, in front of, say, your girlfriend or her parents or your, somebody you admire, where you might feel, as we can all do as humans, a feeling of inadequacy. There's another opportunity to express yourself uninhibited. Then love, where can you practice love? Where can we find that? Most people obviously tend to do the opposite. They tend to be in fear. They're in fight or flight to some degree. So that might manifest as, screaming at someone in traffic because they cut you off, or it might be making your partner wrong, or disregarding somebody's messages that they've sent you, ghosting people, gaslighting people. These are the antithesis of love, right? So where could you practice being more loving? So that would be the second thing to look at. Where is there someone in your life right now who perhaps did hurt you or upset you? And rather than cleaning it up and, just letting them know, but giving them the opportunity to apologize, a lesser mind tends to want to make somebody wrong so that they can be right. It's sort of one of the predominant imperatives of the ego is we want to be right. That's self-righteousness of the ego. So where can you practice more love would be another area to look at. And then lastly, the energy of possibility is, for me, it's so replete with joy when you really get that this domain that we live in as human beings is itself possibility. So when we don't feel that, we're typically misidentified with our own shortcomings, our own limitations, failures from our history that make us feel that we can't do something, right? Like another quote of mine, I say, when other people tell you your dreams aren't possible, have sympathy. It's their own limitations they're exposing, not yours, right? So does that make sense? So, those three, I would say, where are you not free? Great, there's an opportunity to find more freedom. It could be as mundane as, okay, you have a partner, but if some guy out there or some girl right now is, kind of keen on someone, or you're at a bar, or you're at a grocery store, or you're at your yoga class, and you see someone you're attracted to, but you're scared to go up to them for whatever your fear might be of embarrassment, rejection, or looking like a fool, that's an opportunity to overcome that, right? So practice that. Find where you're not free, go out there and practice freedom. Secondly, as I said, be increasingly more loving. Where are you holding account of things people have done to, hurt you and making them wrong? That's childish. And again, I'm obviously not inviting people to stay in abusive situations or communicate with people who are very hostile or harmful. No, this is only when relationships are important to you that are you being really loving, or are you being a little self-righteous? And then possibility is, where can you continue to recognize that this moment right now, whoever is listening literally at this moment in time has never happened before in the entire history of humanity. And for that reason, it is like littered with nothing but the energy of possibility. The question is, to what degree do we drag our past into this new moment? And that then muddies the waters of possibility, where we become resigned or cynical to the fact that something's not going to work for us. So they would be the three things I'd practice, my friend. Where can you find more freedom? Where can you find more love? And where can you live from the energy that I would assert is your birthright, which is the energy of pure possibility?
That's awesome. Thanks so much for sharing that, Peter.
Yeah, hopefully that's a pretty comprehensive response.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good 12-month lifetime program of work to do there. So
yeah, well, they came through me with my work and helping people transcend their constraints. I realized that every time, so for you, thinking that it's all up to you, it's a prison, right? It's a limitation. And when you break through and come to the other side of that, then you discover freedom from it, right? And when you're in a place where, oh shit, it's not up to me, it's not all my responsibility, then you could have a newfound love for life, and simultaneously you see a new way of living, which is possibility, right? So the three qualities always arise simultaneously when somebody overcomes some sort of previous constraint. So when you understand that, it's a really beautiful way to relate to life, and particularly to time, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I appreciate that. Thanks a lot for sharing, Peter.
You're welcome, mate. Well, listen, this was just a follow-up to check in. It's great to be with you again. I really appreciate, you know, the opportunity that I get to meet and work with human beings like yourself. We, you know, didn't know each other from a hole in the ground, or at least I didn't know you. You'd obviously listened to some of my stuff for a few years, but, you know, it's just really an honor for me to be with another human being on the planet, to hold space for you, and for you to contribute to the audience in a way that millions and millions of people will be able to relate to your same, you know, maybe not quite the identical situation, but very similar enough for them to realize that they have a very similar form of limitation that now is no longer necessary. And as a result, here we all are finding freedom. So thank you, my friend.
Yeah, of course. I'm always happy as a coach and in the fitness industry and all that, like helping other people anyway. So if this, you know, not being the guinea pig, but being, I guess, being the guinea pig, but
Yeah.
benefiting myself and others, then that's great. So
Yeah. Awesome.
yeah.
Well, Paul, pleasure. I hope we'll get to connect maybe in life one day down the road. And hopefully my work will continue to contribute and inspire you to live from this place of freedom, love, and possibility, and to continue to lean into that energy of true trust in life, whilst simultaneously obviously co-creating the things that you aspire to see in the world. And I know the difference you make out there, and you know, thank you for what you do to help people on all levels. And I know this energy of internal peace and a lot more sense of freedom is what the world needs more than anything. So take that out there and pass it on.
Of course. Absolutely. It'd be my pleasure.